So, it's been a while since I've last done my last video, and honestly, I am trying to be a little more sporadic with my videos than I could have, though. I do apologize for not being as able as I could have like I did last month. But honestly, I'm only doing this because I have a lot of busy things to do, I have work and all that stuff, and what's more, I'm trying my best to do so. So, let me see what's today's agenda today, and let's see what... Oh, it seems like a lot of you guys voted for the literary podcast. Well, that's a surprise. I think this is only because when you get right down to it, I haven't done my literary podcast since, well, for months now. And I think the last time I've done it would have to be around April at that time, though. Or in March. Seriously, this year's going so fast, it's hard for me to tell what's going on, though, right now. Especially because the literary podcast, since a lot of you guys voted for that, I figured that there was one thing that wrapped in my mind, though. And as such, let's talk about cliffhangers. When it comes to cliffhangers, everybody gets furious when something is left on the cliffhanger. Especially because when you get right down to it, though, many people, myself included, want to see where the show or movie really ends. Or in this case, a story, though. Now, I myself may not be the most biased person out there in the world, but even I'll admit that a cliffhanger is not something you want on your resume. Especially because when you get right down to it, there have been plenty of shows and movies where cliffhanger is something that I'm sure a lot of you guys have already figured out by now. For those who don't know what a cliffhanger is, well, basically it means that they end the story without giving a complete ending, making it very ambiguous and leaving the fans thirsty for more when we don't really have more to deal with. Oh sure, on occasion you do see people writing fanfics or something like that, but I'd argue that they probably did that so they can get more of what happens when they did that, though. I mean, it's bad enough when you realize that something like this ought to happen, though, when it comes right down to it, though. And the cliffhangers are always something that leaves to be desired, though. And let me be honest with you guys, I make it no secret that I can be a bit patterned when it comes to my videos about that, though. I mean, I do admit that some people could say that this is not something that's literary based, but I figured that I've always wanted to talk about cliffhangers. As such, though, there have been plenty of cliffhangers out there that I'm sure a lot of people are pissed off that getting a resolution for anything else, though. As such, there's been few of them that I want to talk about, but I only have about 2 in mind, though. So the first one we're going to talk about is Teen Titans Things Change. Now, I'm not sure how many people have watched Teen Titans, the original series, not Teen Titans Go. I'm not a fan of that one for obvious reasons as is. But it's pretty clear to me that Things Change is one of the biggest cliffhangers that I've ever seen on the Cartoon Network show. And this is coming from someone who's only watched it as a kid, only around 15 years old. Yeah, I've watched this when I was in my high school year because I had nothing else to watch, but Things Change was one of those desired things that I've always wanted to see for myself, though. And it goes without saying that despite ending on a cliffhanger, I feel pretty bad that we never got the resolution for it. So for those who don't know, Things Change happens to be the last episode of the original series, and as such, though, it didn't really go anywhere outside of that, though. From what I can tell, though, there was supposed to be a 6th season, but unfortunately, we never got that 6th season, all because get this, they canceled it after 5 seasons were in, though. I can understand that some people were really quick to point out to me that this is something that wasn't supposed to happen, but from what I can tell, though, Things Change really left an empty pit in my stomach when I first watched this show for myself. Now, with that said, however, I'm not here to give anyone's opinion on it except mine, though. So, let's go over what felt like a cliffhanger for those who are wondering. For those who I don't know, by the end of the episode, Beast Boy tries to convince Tara. Yes, you see the pictures right here, though. And as such, though, it really leaves Tara saying that things change, Beast Boy. The girl you want me to be is just a memory. And she doesn't even think she's Tara to begin with, though. She denies everything about being Tara, despite looking, sounding, and acting a little bit like Tara, but denies it for reasons that I like that, though. From what I can tell, though, there were supposed to be some reason why she felt like this, though, but unfortunately all we got was Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo, a lost episode that you can find online, and that's pretty sad when you get right down to it, though, Because, let's be honest though, how would you feel that we were gonna get an ending, but we never really got that ending and continuum though? It's really clear to me that any show out there that does pretty well, like say Teen Titans, it's really clear to me that they just didn't know what to do with it at first glance. Especially because there are people out there who want this resolved and want to see where it goes from there. Now, do I think cliffhangers are the worst endings you could possibly do? Well, not one of. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it's really one of those reactions that everyone's gonna feel, though. Or for another example for a show, I have a series that has been on my radar that I can't even believe it's been a year since I've actually seen it. So let's talk about Cyber 6. Now, I'm not sure how many of my audience are Canadian, but I do know that one of them is. So if you are Canadian, maybe you're familiar with this show, but if you're not, then I don't think you're gonna recognize it. I mean, I'm not from Canada, but I can tell you that Cyber 6 is one of those shows that I still love, even to this day, though. For those who don't know, Cyber 6 is actually a show that lasted for only one season and 13 episodes. The reason for this is mostly due to the fact that the companies were struggling and having a conflict between the studios, and thus they couldn't really do anything about it as such, though. And honestly, saying that, I think I have to apologize to a lot of people who haven't seen the show, because if there's spoilers out there, I really do apologize for that in advance. One thing that I do know about Cyber, however, is that it's one of my favorite shows out there, a superhero show specifically, though. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, though. When I first saw this show, I fell in love with it, and I couldn't sleep during that night when I first saw it. Last year, June 25th, was it? Yeah, this was from a reviewer I watched that was from part of a Patreon request, and honestly, when I heard the name Cyber 6, to me, I say to myself, Cyber 6? And when it gets right down to it, I started watching it for myself. The sad thing is that it only lasted for, like I said, 13 episodes. There were plans to make it 2 seasons, but due to the conflicts between studios, we never got that far, though. Which is a shame, because the ending of the last episode shows that there's only a shot of one of the main bad guys, and we don't see if Cyber 6 made it out alive or not, though. Yeah, along with her brother, the Panther you're seeing on the screen right there, Data 7. Now, I'm not sure how many people would say that she's alive or not, because from what I gathered, even when I was doing research for this all throughout last year and some parts of this year, it's really clear to me that they really thought that they would be alive after that, though. Though I can't really tell, given the fact that some people say that, oh, she did make it out alive, but meanwhile I'm going, yeah, it really sucks that we never get to see how it ended, though. I can only imagine some people could say in my audience that maybe this could have been like that, though, for a TV show to leave it off like that, though. But the other reason is also because the show didn't do well for American audiences outside of Canada. And yeah, it's pretty sad we never get to see it that far. I mean, it's really sad to say how much that would have been like that. Now, the other show, well, okay, it's not really a show, it's more like a movie, which I did see with my girlfriend at the time. So let's talk about I Am Legend, a movie that to this day, I still love, though, including my girlfriend who actually watched it with me. Now, the first time we ever watched the show was around the time when we were going around to say about science class. This was our last day of school together, around middle school. So we were both 14 years old when it comes right down to it, though. I Am Legend is one of our favorite movies, and we still sometimes watch it together and such. Yeah, I remember watching the movie for myself and saying to myself, you know, I love Will Smith's performances. That's how much I really love this. That this is a little overdone with, because, well, let's be honest, I Am Legend is probably the obvious thing. For those who are wondering, at the end of the movie, it seems like the world is going to be already an apocalypse when everything struck there, but we never get to find out if they made it out alive or not. After, I'm guessing that's why theories are invented, though, for the audience to know where it could come across on that. I Am Legend is one of those movies that my girlfriend and I have discussed over and over again. And let me tell you, we still treat it as some kind of love child for ourselves, though. But the sad thing is, while I do admit I Am Legend is probably one of those obvious reasons you could say it ended on a cliffhanger, that's something that's ambiguous, I don't want to say that's probably what they had in mind, though. There probably were times where they were going to that, but the sad thing is, we never really got that far. So, from what I can tell, though, the movie itself lasted for a quite a taste in my heart. Sure, it came out years before we went to middle school, our last year of middle school together, but even with that said, however, I still enjoy what it had, though. So with all that, the literary podcast, well, it's mostly because cliffhangers are really something that I'm sure a lot of us don't, unless that everyone you've seen so far can do whatever it takes, though. But apparently, every time something ends on a cliffhanger and it never gets resolved after years to come of that, though, that should really give you a high def of what it is, though. I mean, it's bad enough when you realize that some movies and TV shows always leave thirstiest fans out there for more. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that same way too, though. And let's be honest, though, there are many endings that do superior and some endings that do endings. There's, however, not so much. I mean, realize that some people, myself included, who actually want to see something that wants to get resolved, I'm guessing that's why in the first place. Yeah, it's bad enough when the fan theories always come my high school years, but I don't want for either Steven Universe or Starverses at that time, though. But honestly, it's sad to say it, though, that a cliffhanger will end abruptly like that. Other shows and movies. Yeah, I'm sorry. Right there, though, guys. Okay, so as I was saying, though, if you'd like to, you can comment down below what kind of ending made you pissed off when it ended so abruptly, though. Whether it's due to the ending or due to the fact that there was no other way of ending it, though. Yeah, I don't have that much to specifically say about the cliffhangers on the literary podcast, but honestly, if I do have more to say, maybe I'll. But I hope to do another video sometime soon, though. Seriously, I want to try to do something special sometime in July, so let's try to keep that right here. This is the Flamingo's Literary Podcast, and Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and click subscribe fast.